Hi there. Today we're going to do a little bit different, and I have your assistant right here to help me sort out all the notes. So hopefully it will go really well. This video is inspired by a friend of mine, and we're talking about improve speaking, improve listening. And she asked me, "Oh, okay. Well, what should I do when I want to improve my speaking? Should I just go ahead and watch some movies or English shows?" And that's when I got inspired to do this video. Let's say, what kind of shows or what kind of English programs should you watch if you really want to improve your speaking in a very short time? You just want to kind of sharpen your skills before you do something in English. She was asking me because we were talking about how to do presentations, and there are a lot of questions involved about presentation skills. And then she all of a sudden asked me a question like this: should I go ahead and watch a lot of English TV shows and movies? Do you think that will help me with my speaking? And that's when I started thinking, that is a very interesting question. And I think you should not go ahead and waste your time on such a thing if you want to improve your presentation skills. Because watching movies or TV shows has nothing to do with presentation skills. And you're not going to improve your presentation speaking style or techniques by just watching movies or TV shows. And that is why we're going to have this video to talk about how to target your or how to use your listening with a target or specific goal. So, for example, if you remembered last year, I was getting ready for my conference in August. So, I started doing this channel thing. I started my 7-day challenge to improve my academic speaking. So, I started watching a lot of academic or educational videos to improve my thoughts on those kind of videos. So, I started talking about those videos and I started giving my comments on those videos, and that's when I started this channel. Okay, that's another whole story. So, yeah, let's not get into that part. So, I went to watch a lot of TED Talks related to education topics or language topics. I'm trying to learn their styles, how they present ideas, how they speak, what is their style, and what is their intonation, rhythm. Should I go fast? Should I go casual? Or should I go formal? So I went there and did my little research on which one will work for me better. And then I started watching a lot of that shows and also watch a lot of YouTube videos about how to present ideas. So that helped me a little bit about how to present. Plus that, I also watch tons of videos about how to getting your ideas out with confidence. So this is how I improve my speaking in a certain area. So I have to find what kind of goal I want to reach and then start from there. So you're doing backward deduction. So find your goal first and then work backwards and figure out your plans to improve that. But the problem is, so if you notice that I mentioned that I was watching videos about education, about language, about presenting ideas. But if you're like, oh, okay, so Bay says I'm going to go ahead and watch tons of TED Talks. So I will go to TEDTalk.com and find out a lot of videos, and you're going to be overwhelmed by all sorts of topics. They cover like thousands of topics over there. Which one are you going to start with? That is a good question to ask because I have no idea which one you're going to start with. Then you have to first, if you don't have any missions to accomplish by the end of the day, by the end of the month, and what you're going to do is to find something you like or you're interested in, because it's always easy for you to get motivated if you watch something you like. If you are a tech person, so you want to learn a lot of technology, how they present things, or you're going to start your own channel about technology review, things like that. So, any videos related to technology will be a good choice of yours. So, go ahead and watch them, how they presented those dry content to in a very humorous way, or in a very casual way, or in a very easy to follow way. So that will be something you can imitate, or even if you like to do shadowing and do that as well. So that would definitely help you with that. If you're in the field of management and you want to do, let's say you want to be a management consultant, or you are talking about how to manage people at work, or you're talking about how to deal with people at work or anywhere. So find out or go ahead and search for topics related in that area, and then you will learn from there. There are a lot of different styles of presentations you can learn from those TED Talkers. Which one works for you? Because sometimes I went to different kind of conferences and I had a different styles of presenting presentations. When I was at a very academic conference talking about my research about pronunciation teaching for English teachers across Canada. So I had to be very serious and academic because I'm talking or I'm presenting my ideas to experts. They don't want any fluff stuff, their fluffy stuff, or any fluffs. But when I was presenting at a TESOL conference, we were more talking about how to teach English or what kind of challenges or difficulties you have during your teaching. And that's when I want to make it more casual, more funny, so people will want to listen to my presentation. And according to different styles, I then went on to watch different kind of TED Talks there. So that is how you can pick if you want to improve your presentation skills. But here we go. So you might ask, well, I just love TED Talks. Should I always watch that to improve my speaking? So just in case one day I will have a presentation to do. Of course, you can go ahead. Practice makes perfect, right? It's never going to be too much. The problem is, would you ever have a chance to chat with other people? For example, Q&A section. I still remember last year when I finished my finished my presentation, I had to head over to another Zoom meeting with other people to do a Q&A section. And those people were from all over the world. I even have someone from Oxford University, which I was like, super flattered at that moment. Because I was really practicing my speaking skills, not only about how to present, but also about how to chat. Remember, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about interviewing. Yeah, that's another thing. So interviews will also help you with your chatting skills, not speaking skills, chatting skills. So I really had a nice chat with all sorts, with some of the experts from all over the world. We had a really nice conversation about my topic. They asked me what challenges I had. Why didn't you do that way? And then I explained it very well. I was so proud of myself when I was presenting my ideas to them. And they were really like, wow, Bei, you're very well spoken and clear minded. I like your concept and I also like your research. From someone who's an expert for years in this field, in that moment, I feel like my confidence has rocketing to the point that I feel like you may want to ask, should I watch TV shows or movies to improve my speaking? It really depends, right? So I would say, well, you have to figure out your needs. You also have to remember that movies and TV shows are entertainment, right? They're not supposed to be educational. Well, at some point, you can use that as an educational resources to help yourself with the listening. But I don't really think that is a good idea to learn a daily conversation. I have a perfect example. I don't know if I said this to you, but I think I talked to the friend the other day. I've been watching a lot of CSI. So I watched that many times, but now I kind of felt like I ran out of shows. So I went back and binge watching that for a few months already, a couple months, I think. So they're talking about, of course, criminal stuff, which is my favorite. But the problem is because I was so into it, and when I talk about that, I, of course, will use some of the terms from the show. I was chatting with my friend, and we were watching some documentary about criminal stuff or gunshot because we were trying to figure out maybe we should get a gun lessons or what. And then I said, oh, look at the wound. Isn't that supposed to be through and through? Through and through. So my friend was like, what? You watch too much CSI. And then she started laughing at me because, well, nobody would say through and through in our daily life because that's definitely from a show. Another funny thing is we went shopping to HomeSense. HomeSense is my favorite store. It's very evil. You get there, you will have to buy something because it's so good. So we got there. I bought a mini pan, and then she asked me, okay, so, that's a kind of tiny size. What do you need that for? And I said, okay, sometimes I want to make a little garnish And then I think that would be a perfect size for me. And then she looked at me like, garnish? Like, what? You're like an executive chef or what? That's when I was watching too much Hell's Kitchen. And then, your set dish with the vegetables and something you can decorate your food in, and that is a garnish. So, yeah, normal people wouldn't say garnish in their daily life. And should you watch TV shows or movies? Of course. For entertainment purpose, go ahead. For improving your listening, go ahead. But you may want to be a little bit careful about what you learn and then what you use after you learn from the shows, because sometimes people might not really use that in our daily life. And that is why I highly recommend everybody to watch vlogs and other things. Then back to our vlog, and then we're talking about, is a vlog the only option? Bae, I don't know, but I'm just not into vlog. Well, it is not the only option for you to improve your conversational skills or conversational language, but it is a really good one because they're using their daily language to demonstrate how their daily life looks like. And then that is a really good way to learn a daily language. And that is another thing you want to think about when it comes to which one should I watch. There are a lot of vloggers out there. So you pick the one that you like. You like the sound of that, you like the quality of it, and then you like the content of it. Go ahead from there. For me, I like Asian Americans or Asian Canadians because they have a unique accent. It's very easy for me to follow and very easy for me to imitate. Every time when I watch their vlogs, and then I could feel my speaking will improve a lot. So pick the one you like and start from there. But you're right, vlog is not the only option you can do. There are tons of videos you can do it. It depends on what you are interested in. So for example, I like watching a lot of review or book review or something like that vlogs. So they're talking about books recommendations, they're talking about technology and introduce those kind of things. And that is a good skill to learn because when you chat with your friends or with your colleagues, you have something to say. So at that moment, you're not only focusing on the language, you're also focusing on the content. And that is another point I really want to mention today is speaking is not only about the language, it's about everything. So for you, you always want to have something to talk about, but you may come to this situation that your language is good, your pronunciation, your accent are perfect, but you just don't know what to talk about. Especially when they bring up some topic, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That happened to me before as well. We went to my friend's trailer park. He has a trailer there, campsite, I would say that. So we had our, of course, night bonfire. We're talking about things back then. My language was okay, but I didn't have much to talk about. They were all talking about bestsellers, movies, and TV shows. I was like, I understand every single word from you, but I just didn't know what to say because I need my phone to check what does this English name here means in Chinese. Oh, okay. Then I realized I know the show, but I only know the show in Chinese, not in English. That's when I started to to learn English names. Right. So get from there, learn everything in English. You will have a topic to talk about that. So in that case, to increase your bank size of content or topics, you can watch some tech reviews. My favorite one is Marcus. Is very well spoken. I love his voice. I love the way he narrates, and I love his video. The editing is very unique. Yeah, my number one favorite. And when he talks about, iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks, and Samsung, and other things, when he reviews everything, you learn from there. And next time when you talk about, oh, what kind of phone should you buy, or things like that, you are able to make recommendations. So that is really good. Another thing is Anna Akana is my favorite. I did her video before. I did some videos about her videos before. She talks about relationship, healthcare, not healthcare, sorry, mental health care, and other things. Very short I think it's about like 3 to 5 minutes that length. Easy to follow, but she does speak really fast. But good thing to learn other than just watching other people's life, right? So there are tons of those videos you can go explore if you have access. If you don't, I think on Bilibili or Xiaohongshu, they also have a lot of English programs you can learn. And there are a lot of our Chinese English content creators. They have different topics, different styles. You can learn from there, not only about the language, but the content. Content is very important. Another thing is you might say that, oh my God, babe, I actually did get a comment saying I don't have a whole day to watch this. Well, fair enough, right? So if you have school, you have work, and you have a dog, and you have to walk your dog outside, like now it's -14, -16 with this much snow, and you do not have time to watch the whole thing. The good part is to have a podcast, which is my favorite, which is my English language turning point at that moment. I remember I was still doing admin work at the private language school, so I was shredding paper, filling out forms, doing student reports, all sorts of things. What I do was to put on a podcast. Back then, there was one called the Sound Series. I think that's the one they were talking about 911 calls, and they were talking about all the mysteries there. And then from there, we're talking about criminals. My favorite. I finished that show. In the very beginning, I was just trying to improve my listening. I didn't even think about that. Halfway through, I started getting really interested in the content. I started to pay attention to the content and trying to figure out the stories. Went to Google the stories and see what is the behind saying kind of thing. And I started talking about stories with my friends. That's when I really improved my speaking, because I started talking about the podcast shows or even the criminal stories with my friends. And then she was all like, yeah, let's talk about that. And then after that, I listened to cults and other things. Now I'm more about all kinds of things. But my requirement for a show is I have to like the sound, the voice of the host. If I don't like the sound, or sometimes it can be too high pitched, sometimes it can be too low pitched, and it's really personal preference. So you have to figure that out by yourself, and start from there. You will be obsessed with the podcasts. My favorite, all-time favorite. When I wake up, I will turn on my podcast, and then when I'm doing something else, cooking, cleaning, or prepping for my class, and I always have a podcast on. So I will listen to my favorite show. That is how you can get ideas of what to talk about. Learn from there. And the next part is, well, babe, you've talked about TV shows, you've talked about TED Talks, and then you mentioned vlogs, you mentioned podcasts. If I do that, if I do all of that, would that be enough for me to improve my speaking? Well, the answer is also not really, because you have to understand, if you want to achieve the fluency, it's not only about the language you're using. It's about, do you have a confidence? Do you have good accent? I mean, accent is not like a native like accent. It means, is your accent easy to understand, or like does your accent affect intelligibility? Things like that. Do you have good vocabulary, right? So you need to have a certain size of vocabulary to express yourself. Do you have that? And the grammar. I've seen some videos saying that grammar doesn't really matter, because if you come to another English speaking country, you will see the native speakers don't care about grammar. I would say, well, yeah, that is true, but you don't want to be that kind of people, right? So you want to be good. You want to have a correct grammar structure, because for all the time, not even sometimes, grammar structure is very important. That will make your sentences good, organized, logical. And when you talk, it's easy to follow you. People won't lose interest. And that is very important. When you have a bad grammar, when you speak, people will say, this person doesn't sound very smart. They can tell. So that is why, of course, some native speakers don't care about grammar, especially when it comes to daily conversation, and they will make tons of grammar mistakes. Yeah, more than what you thought. But when it comes to kind of real conversations or real presentation skills, grammar is definitely important. Just think about that. What you can do is to start from simple grammar to the complex one. Don't go too far, right? So you want to do step by step, and then start with a baby step. I have this perfect example to show you why content, and it's not only about your pronunciation, accent, it's not only about your grammar, it's also about how you say it and your content. I had the students. When I was working at a private language school, I used to be a supervisor for TESOL students. So TESOL student will come to observe my class, and then I will show them how to teach and things like that. And normally one student will have like maybe two or three supervisors for their practicum. There's one girl, she speaks perfect pronunciation, perfect accent, really good. And she did have confidence, to be quite honest. But however, I did not understand her. So I thought maybe that was my problem. I did not understand her. I really had no idea what she was saying every time when she was trying to communicate with me. And then I was talking to her co-supervisor there. So we're still friends. We're still working. So when we were talking, when I was chatting with him about her, so I said, "Is that me?" Or like I never understand what she's trying to say to me. And my colleague says, "You're not the only one." I have no idea what she's saying. She's basically just talking gibberish. I'm like, okay. So that is a perfect example when you really improve your pronunciation and accent, but kind of forget to improve your content, your grammar, and then that's the result. You're gonna have a perfect pronunciation and accent, and nobody understands you. So that is a huge problem when it comes to speaking. That is why speaking is difficult and tricky, because you can't just improve one aspect and then wait until you improve another aspect. It's not how that works. You have to improve everything at the same time. You have to cover your grammar, have to cover your pronunciation, accent. And then you have to think about the content you're going to talk about. How are you going to improve your confidence? And how are you going to increase your vocabulary size? And those kind of things is something you have to worry about all the time at the same time. So that's why speaking is very difficult, because it's about everything. So the reason I'm making this video, of course, is inspired by my friend, but also I want to tell everybody, or to share this with everybody, is it is not only about one thing, it's about everything. So you have to figure out or identify your strengths and weaknesses. So once you identify your strengths, keep up the good work, right? So you don't want to forget, oh, they're good, so I'm going to put them aside and then not worry about that. Because for adults, when you learn something, and you always have to learn it. If you stop, you're going backwards, and then that's what we call the regression. And then find out your weaknesses. That's where you really need to put more effort on. So that is, for example, grammar. If grammar is your weakness, and then start to do a lot of grammar exercise, start practicing. Say, today I'm going to describe events using simple present. I'm going to describe events using present perfect. Start from there, practice your grammar, but don't forget about your strengths, right? So that is how you do it. So with everything, I want to say the most important thing is you never stop, right? So learning language is an ongoing thing. You can't stop as an adult. If you're kids, if you're really young, then never mind. But if you're like me, you're trying to really improve at a certain age, you have to keep learning all the time. If you stop, you're going backwards. There's no pause and then continue. There will be like a start all over again. So think about that. Okay, that is today's video. I hope you like it, and I hope I didn't talk too much or talk too fast. But if you like it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I have to practice my sign off. It's really bad. Anyway, so I know New Year's coming, and I hope you all ready for that, and wish you a happy New Year. but more videos are coming, so wait for that. 在视频的最后呢，我想说一下，就是因为疫情的变化呢，好多人可能没有办法回家过年，然后你们可能就是留在了宿舍里，也有可能在其他的城市没有办法过年希望我的声音能够陪伴你，我也很高兴我的声音能够陪伴你就希望大家平平安安也希望大家万事如意，万事顺心。好，就这样子了。Take care, bye.